Welcome to our US Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some exciting international and domestic news. First up, Denmark has finalized a major defense deal with the US, allowing American military access to bases including Greenland, despite some political worries about over-reliance on US power and Greenland's independence debates. It's a bold move to boost regional security and NATO cooperation. Next, in a surprising twist, some U.S. defense analysts are suggesting cutting troop numbers in South Korea by over 60%, shifting responsibility to Seoul, and moving assets further from China. It's all about transitioning to a more defensive stance while managing resources carefully. Talk about a strategic pivot. Finally, in Ohio, cities like Cincinnati and Cleveland scored a win in their fight against state restrictions on flavored tobacco. The appeals court ruled that local governments can regulate tobacco sales, emphasizing the importance of local control for public health. Quite the victory for city-level initiatives. Please continue to watch for more detailed coverage. According to Deutsche Welle, Denmark has recently ratified a Defense Cooperation Agreement, DCA, with the United States, granting U.S. military forces unrestricted access to Danish bases, including those in Greenland, despite President Trump's provocative remarks about forcibly annexing Greenland for national security reasons. The Danish government, under the influence of strategic military considerations, emphasized that the deal primarily aims to enhance collective security and deterrence against Russia, particularly in the Baltic region. Military analysts suggest that Denmark's decision was driven more by pragmatic needs, such as supporting NATO operations and countering Russian threats, rather than fear of a land grab, with some experts advising the government to remain tactful and avoid public disputes over Trump's comments. However, critics like European Parliament member Per Clausen argue that the deal reflects a dangerous over-reliance on U.S. protection, especially given Trump's unpredictable stance, and advocate for strengthening cooperation with neighboring Nordic countries and Canada instead of deepening U.S. dependency. Meanwhile, in Sweden, a similar agreement faced fierce debate, with concerns over U.S. nuclear weapons and sovereignty, yet the deal was ultimately approved, highlighting regional divisions on military alignment. Analysts note that these agreements, even with NATO's Article 5 security guarantee, serve as additional assurances amid fears that NATO could weaken or collapse, prompting countries to seek bilateral pacts with the U.S. to ensure rapid support in crises. Nikkei Asia reports that the so-called restrainers, prominent U.S. defense analysts advocating for a scaled-back military footprint, are proposing significant reductions in American forces worldwide, including a more than 60% cut in South Korea, where U.S. troops could be reduced from 28,500 to around 10,000, with responsibility for defense increasingly transferred to Seoul. The report argues that the current U.S. military posture is overly aggressive and geographically too close to China, especially in Okinawa, Japan, where nearly 26,000 troops are stationed, risking escalation and overstretching resources. Instead, the authors recommend relocating assets further into the Pacific's second island chain, such as Guam and Palau, and shifting frontline responsibilities to regional allies like Japan, which would take on more direct defense roles. They also endorse the AUKUS Pact, which enhances submarine deployment in the region, and suggest halting deployment of certain missile systems near China to avoid escalation. The authors contend that the U.S. military is overstretched and that a leaner, more defensive posture in Europe and the Middle East, reducing troop numbers by tens of thousands, would better align with strategic interests and resource constraints, emphasizing that America's focus should remain on countering China rather than maintaining an overly expansive global military presence. In Wisconsin, a political newcomer, Bill Berrien, has announced his bid for governor, drawing parallels to Donald Trump and positioning himself as an outsider ready to shake up Madison. His campaign launch video features him walking past a tank and referencing Trump's fighting spirit, emphasizing his commitment to a Wisconsin First agenda. Berrien, a former Navy SEAL and successful businessman, has taken a hard stance against Democratic Governor Tony Evers, criticizing him for alleged failures on immigration, transgender sports legislation, and tax policies, despite recent bipartisan tax cuts. With promises to support police, increase wages, and bolster manufacturing, Berrien aims to energize the Republican base and challenge the incumbent, as other notable Republicans consider entering the race. Meanwhile, in Ohio, a significant legal victory unfolded as the 10th District Court of Appeals unanimously ruled that efforts by the state legislature to restrict city governments from regulating tobacco products are unconstitutional. The cities of Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus had challenged a law that aimed to nullify local ordinances on flavored tobacco sales, arguing that it violated the Ohio Constitution's Home Rule Amendment, which grants municipalities authority over local safety and health regulations. The court's decision underscored the importance of local control, highlighting the dangers of state overreach that could undermine efforts to curb youth tobacco use and protect minority and low-income communities from targeted marketing. This ruling affirms the city's rights to enforce their own tobacco laws, emphasizing the ongoing tension between state authority and local autonomy in public health efforts. Across the globe, a grim decade has passed since China launched the 709 crackdown, a sweeping campaign against human rights lawyers and activists that has drastically curtailed legal advocacy. The Chinese government's intensified control, under President Xi Jinping, has transformed the legal landscape into a near-impossible environment for defending rights, with many lawyers facing surveillance, restrictions, and even rearrest after serving prison sentences. Prominent figures like Chen Jiangang and Wang Quanzhong have experienced relentless harassment, with their families subjected to restrictions on movement, education, and expression. Despite these oppressive measures, resistance persists both within China and internationally, with human rights organizations condemning ongoing persecution and lawyers filing complaints against authorities. This ongoing repression illustrates the Chinese Communist Party's prioritization of political stability over legal accountability, with many defenders of social justice risking everything to challenge the regime's grip on civil liberties. CNN reports that President Donald Trump, who once boldly claimed he would finalize 200 trade deals within his first 100 days, has only secured 3, with a fourth nearing completion. His initial deadline of July 9 for countries to reach agreements or face increased tariffs was extended to August 1, amid recognition that swift negotiations were unlikely. Notably, progress has been made with the European Union, where negotiators are close to a framework agreement involving modest tariffs and future trade discussions, marking a significant shift from Trump's previous disdain for the EU. Despite ongoing negotiations with other nations such as India, South Korea, and Japan, many deals remain elusive, hindered by contentious issues like sectoral tariffs on autos and steel, and the lack of clarity on the U.S. side's final expectations. Trump's tactics have evolved from threats of tariffs to sending out tariff-increasing letters, as he seeks to leverage negotiations for better terms, even as some allies, like Japan, express frustration over the stalled progress and imposed tariffs. South China Morning Post details China's unwavering commitment to continuing massive infrastructure projects despite its strategic pivot toward boosting domestic consumption. The country plans to maintain a significant investment intensity over the next 5 years, with 102 major projects under the 14th Five-Year Plan, including high-profile initiatives like the Sichuan-Tibet Railway and the Laos-China Railway. Li Chunlin of China's National Development and Reform Commission emphasized that these investments are crucial for economic stability, especially as China seeks to shift away from debt-fueled growth and reliance on external trade pressures. While the government aims to foster a more sustainable, consumption-driven economy, highlighted by efforts to expand digital infrastructure and increase household spending, investment remains vital, contributing over 30% to annual growth. The country's focus on digital infrastructure and technological innovation underscores its strategy to stimulate growth from within, balancing large-scale projects with the goal of building a resilient, consumption-led economy capable of weathering external trade tensions and tariffs. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
News breaks, buzz the ground, stories spin, walls come down, voices merge in the sound, faces mix in the crowd. Broadcasters paint the scene, world events on our screen, every link a different theme, words collide in the stream. 6 degrees connect the dots, background stories more than us. Hear the voices rise aloft. cultures clash across the globe, spin the threads in a strobe. Every story wears a robe, truth and lies in their code. Journalists dig real deep, secrets out, they don't sleep. Every angle they will keep, in the news we take a leap. New perspectives day by day, hidden truths come to play. In the background shades of gray, every story